In February 2024, Melody Hoffman was a cheerful and trusting 20-year-old. She was close with family, particularly her mother. But there were some things that Melody kept even from her. At about 11:30 p.m. on a Saturday night, without saying a word, she slipped out the front door of her family home and caught a ride in a blue Honda Accord. That night, the conflict brewing in Melody's personal life was coming to a boil. Unfortunately for her, she was completely oblivious to the danger that she was walking into. Hi there, I'm Kevin and welcome to Just Thought Lounge. Today's case is about a brutal murder that prosecutors would later say defies reason. It's the story of a sad and twisted love triangle and even more disturbed accomplices who were willing to do the unthinkable. Let's take a look. Melody Hoffman and her mother, Megan, had no particular plans on Saturday, February 17th, 2024. The two had a late start to their day, leaving their home in Marion, Iowa in the afternoon to do some grocery shopping. They grabbed tacos for lunch, then had dinner in. Later, they crawled into Megan's bed to watch a movie. When the film ended at just after 11 p.m., Megan assumed that was it for the night. However, her daughter had other ideas. At 11:27, Megan received a notification from the Live 360 location tracking application. The app was connected to her daughter's phone, and Melody had just left the house. A camera in their living room captured the 20-year-old leaving only a few minutes earlier. On the video, the screen of Melody's cell phone was captured flashing as though she was receiving a message or call. The sender, unknown. Her mother was not impressed. She texted immediately, "Are you kidding me right now? I'll be back," Melody wrote. Unfortunately, that would not be the case. Megan continued to message her daughter. She was telling her to come home while also monitoring Melody's movements via the Live 360 app. It showed her heading northwest towards Morgan Creek Park, then back towards Marion. Around 1 a.m., she appeared to be at an apartment complex only a few blocks away from home. Then, her location permissions were disabled. Exchanging messages over Snapchat, Megan repeatedly told her daughter to re-enable the location tracking. "On my way, and almost there," the messages read. "Leave the door open for me." But her replies were delayed, and the language she used was odd. It was fuller and more fleshed out than Melody would usually bother to text. This was a subtle difference that escaped her mother in that moment. Her requests to call and speak directly were ignored. Her calls went unanswered. Melody never re-enabled her location tracking. Indeed, much later, Megan would come to the conclusion that this final conversation had not taken place with her daughter, but rather with her daughter's killer. The final text message from her phone came not from Melody, but from Apple iPhone's automatic emergency impact service. The notification stated that Melody's device had detected a crash. It came in at 3:13 a.m. and marked the location. Driving out to the area in the middle of the night, Megan found the iPhone face down, broken, and without its regular case. It was on the entry ramp to Highway 100. All recent activity had been deleted. The following morning, Amy Robas was parked by the water at Lily Lake in Amana, about a half an hour's drive south of Marion. She was watching the birds when a distraught couple approached her, asking for help. They had come across a body in the grass, but were uncertain if what they were seeing was actually real. Amy got out to take a look. Then she dialed 911.
I'm actually at Lily Lake in Amana, and it looks like a dead body here.
Okay, you're at the lily pond?
Yeah, right by the where the picnic area area the pavilion is. The woman, and she's just wearing underwear.
Is she breathing?
It does not look like it.
Okay, so you said that she's on her stomach?
She is on her stomach, yes.
Does it look like she was in the water?
No.
Okay, and is there anything else around her?
No, but there are all kinds of marks on her back, like flashes.
The body Amy had discovered was that of Melody Hoffman. Deputies from the Iowa County Sheriff's Office found her face down, arms at her sides, and lacerations covering her back. The medical examiner concluded that Melody had died of strangulation. She also had numerous stab and slash wounds to her body. Marks on her hands and wrists suggested she had been bound. Though she was found without her clothing and her undergarments sitting out of place, there was no indication of a sexual assault. It was also determined that many, if not all of her other wounds, were delivered post-mortem. The murder appeared to have been staged to look like a sexually motivated attack. Upon closer inspection, the scene indicated a planned and curated crime. The area surrounding Melody was largely undisturbed. It did not show evidence of the attack or the extent of the injuries that Melody had sustained. Investigators concluded that Lily Lake was not the location where the murder had taken place. She must have been killed elsewhere and later brought there. Melody Hoffman was born in Cedar Rapids in December 2003 to parents Megan and TJ. She had attended Liberty High School and then briefly continued on to Kirkwood Community College. Melody dreamed of pursuing a career related to medicine, perhaps as a carer in a nursing home. After a year of study, however, her grades were suffering and she was unable to continue. Diagnosed with a mild intellectual disability, Melody's mental capacity was years behind her physical age. While in the body of a 20-year-old woman, Melody's mind was said to process the world as a 12 to 14-year-old. Her decision-making skills, therefore, were also impacted by her disability. Her trusting nature made her even more susceptible to manipulation. While her peers had moved on to further work and study, Melody instead embraced her deep love of animals by taking on a volunteer role at the Lynn County Animal Shelter. An extremely loving and caring person, she was also an extrovert. Family said she knew no strangers, had no fear, and loved everyone unconditionally. On the night of February 17th, after abruptly leaving her house, Melody told her worried mother that she was with friends. A few minutes later, she posted a video to her Snapchat story. She was in the back of a car, joyfully singing along to a song, though it seems she didn't know the lyrics. Heartache and grief over the news of Melody's murder was felt by the community of Marion. A vigil was held in the days following her death to remember Melody's joyful and carefree personality. While her mother grieved, she also provided investigators with her daughter's phone and shared her location data. Investigators determined that Melody was at Morgan Creek Park when her Apple Watch recorded her heartbeat intensify before it either stopped or the device deactivated. They believed the murder had taken place there before her phone traveled back towards Marion at 1 a.m., later traveling to her final destination. It did not take long for detectives to identify the first person of interest in the investigation, and that was Melody's ex-boyfriend, a 20-year-old named McKinley Louisma. McKinley was known as just Ken to his friends. The two had met through an app and dated for about 2 months, leading to the end of December of the previous year. McKinley had been Melody's first boyfriend, and she was heartbroken when he broke things off with her. The split then turned ugly when Melody discovered that McKinley was getting back together with his ex-girlfriend, a woman named Nakia, because she was pregnant. The two exchanged heated messages over Facebook, arguing over the breakup. In one conversation, Melody even threatened to call the police. As it turns out, Nakia was not the only one expecting. Melody's autopsy had uncovered the presence of a pregnancy hormone, which indicated that she too was either newly pregnant or had been very recently. It was a secret that she may have kept, or perhaps she had shared this news with McKinley before her death. No one else in her life had been aware. On the same day that McKinley made arrangements to collect his things from Melody's home after their breakup, she received a threatening text message from an unknown number. It read, "Bitch, I hate you," and "Your family ain't safe." The message was reported to Marion PD, but the sender was never identified. Megan Hoffman, however, believed she knew who had sent it: McKinley Louisma. He was the only source of conflict in Melody's life. Following the emergency notification in the early morning hours of February 18th, McKinley was the first person she reached out to. McKinley claimed not to have seen or heard from Melody. He told Megan that he followed her rules and did not spend time with her daughter without her knowledge or presence. This claim was not truthful. When McKinley sat down with detectives, he nonetheless told them the same thing, that the two were no longer involved. He had not seen her. This claim was another provable lie. Traffic cameras had captured McKinley's blue Honda Accord driving to Marion to pick up Melody after 11:20 p.m. on February 17th. Several different traffic cameras then tracked the car to Morgan Creek, before the car was then seen traveling north on Edgewood Road and toward Marion, near to Melody's home and the apartment complex shown on her location tracking. McKinley then drove toward Lily Lake in Amana. His cell phone data mapped the same movements. The last stop before he returned home was a Quick Star in Cedar Rapids. There, McKinley and a companion were captured exiting the Honda and purchasing cigars. A search warrant for the Honda had already been obtained when McKinley waived his rights to an attorney and sat down with detectives. While the interview took place, officers were conducting a thorough search of his vehicle.
Sometime yesterday, we were brought in to work a case, and your vehicle was brought up as like a vehicle of interest, so we kind of wanted to go over that with you.
For close to an hour, McKinley insisted that he had not seen Melody that weekend, and that he had nothing to do with her brutal murder.
I can't tell, but we broke up in December, like December 30th.
Okay. How was the breakup? Good, not good?
Yeah, it was good for me, but she didn't take it very well.
Mm-hmm. Do you know why? Why did you guys decide to break up?
Because my ex-girlfriend was pregnant, and I pretty much had more intention on focusing on the child and being a father, and she didn't like that. So
Sure.
So I broke up over the phone because my mom always say, whenever we get into an argument, do it over the phone instead of being together.
Yeah.
So I pretty much was like, hey, I'm coming back, I'm going to go get you something. And then I just left, and I just called her and said, hey, I don't want to be with you.
Yeah. You talked to her, but did you not see her on Friday and Saturday?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. When do you think was the last time you saw her?
The last time I seen her was that one day I went to her house, and we hung out for a bit, and I left.
Okay.
The tone of the interview began to shift as investigators inquired into McKinley's movements that weekend, namely a shopping trip he had made to Walmart, where he eventually admitted to purchasing a machete. It was for a camping trip, he said.
And I'm not too familiar with camping or mudding, but forgive me, what would be the purpose of getting a machete for going camping?
I'd probably say protection. So I was like, hey, if I'm going camping in the middle of nowhere and I can't see nothing, I'm grabbing a machete.
Oh, okay. Okay, but you never wound up going camping?
No.
Okay. And you said the reason you didn't go camping was because of...
They changed their mind last minute.
Okay. Who's they?
The driver.
Okay. And you don't know who the driver
I
was?
don't know who the driver is.
Okay.
I wasn't involved in anything. I was actually where I said I was. I literally was down the street from where I was at.
Okay.
From Aggie's house, exactly.
Right. Yeah, and unfortunately the case facts don't indicate that at all. And I get that this can be difficult to talk about, but again, it's not so much a matter of if this is the way it happened. We know how it happened. Wow. We know exactly how it happened, but what we don't know, McKinley, is why. Okay.
While searching McKinley's vehicle, law enforcement recovered a machete, its handle sticking out from beside the driver's seat and the center console. They also discovered packaging for 2 other machetes of a similar size. A pocket knife with a serrated edge alongside a roll of partially used duct tape sat in the front compartment of the vehicle. But it was in the trunk where the story of Melody Hoffman's last horrifying moments were told. A large plastic bag was removed and its contents examined. Inside, a pink shirt stained with blood. A pair of black leggings which Melody was known to often wear. A similarly stained band for an Apple Watch. Multiple gloves, which were found to be an earlier Walmart purchase. The receipt for these was also located. It listed the purchase of 2 additional machetes. Duct tape was recovered with Melody's hair attached. The cover to her cell phone was in the car. And finally, a piece of paracord. This piece of climbing rope was thought to be the murder weapon.
Okay. When I sat here and I listened to what you said, I wanted so much for you to give me something that aligned with all of our other case facts, but it didn't. And so that's why I was asking those hard, difficult questions, because it's like, all right, maybe McKinley came in here and he's just a little bit upset and regretful about what he did, but I want to give you the opportunity to tell us what the real truth of this matter was, okay? Because right now we can both agree that we have not talked about this yet. Okay.
The guy said if I want to be done with this, I can be done with this and I can leave, because this is just too much for me right now, man.
Okay. And that's completely up to you. If at some
If
point
I gotta come back to you guys, I can, but this is just really too much for me right now.
Okay. So what are you saying?
I just want to be done and just leave, like I said.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, if at some point, whether it's tonight, tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, you're in a position where you've had a chance to think about a few things, and you think, you know what, upon thinking of a few things, there's a few things that maybe I didn't get on the table that I would like to get on the table.
I'll let you know right
We're always gonna leave that door open for you, okay? We're always gonna be fair with you.
When McKinley was ready to talk, he offered a new version of events, one that placed the blame squarely on the other individual that was with him that Saturday night, a new friend of his, Dakota Van Patten. Dakota and Melody had never met. McKinley said that they started with casual plans to spend time together that night, and Dakota was simply tagging along. But things took a dangerous turn when Dakota began to suspect that Melody had a bit of money. He may have gotten this impression, McKinley claimed, after she spoke about wanting to buy him some gifts, including a new PlayStation.
Because then I was like talking to her, I was like, hey, so what are you getting me from Amazon? She was telling me that she's getting me some clothes, and if I want, she can order me a new PlayStation 5. And then he was like, damn, you must have a lot of money to be spending on him like that. And then she was like, yes, because she loved me. So then he was like, well, can we just ride around for a bit? He just was whispering something to me. And I was like, what are you whispering? And he pretty much was just whispering something, and I was like, I don't know. And I'm like, so what are we doing? So then he was like, can I talk to you for a bit? I'm like, okay, talk. And he was like, no, by yourself.
To McKinley's surprise, Dakota then pulled out a gun. He proceeded to make demands. He forced McKinley to tie up Melody with the duct tape, he said. Perhaps they could ransom her.
He told me to get the duct tape and duct tape her hand. So at that point, I thought it was all a joke, you know. I thought it was literally all a joke. And he was like, just duct tape her hand, trust me. And then I was like, no, I'm not duct taping her hand. And then he took the gun and then he put it to the side of my head. And he was like, just do it. And then I just duct taped her hand, and then she was asking me what's going on, and I was like, I don't know.
Dakota climbed into the back seat of the Honda and struck Melody. He also took her phone from her.
Because as he's hitting her, he stopped. She said, my mom can see my location. And then when she said that, I remember her. She does have her location on. So when he told me to turn it off, I turned one location off, but I left the other one running, and he didn't know. I pretty much ran back to Marion. And
From where?
From Martin Creek Park.
Okay.
I went back to Marion, and I went closer to her house, so that way I can give her mom a clue, like her daughter is nearby. Because I turned the location on right back after. So then, when her mom was texting, and he was like, "Who's that texting?" And it says, "Big Fat Llama Drama." And he was like, "Who is that?" And she said, "That's my mom." And then he took the phone, and he started texting the mom, saying, she's on her way to open the door.
Right.
So tell him, like, yo, just stop, bro. Just let her go. Just let her go. She in the backseat crying and calling my name. I can't do nothing because he's sitting in the front seat with a gun. And he has the phone.
According to McKinley's version of events, once they drove to Lily Lake and parked by the pond, he turned off the car and waited while Dakota took Melody some distance away. He claimed there was nothing that he could have done to stop what happened next.
And then from where I was standing, I can't hear like what was happening, but I couldn't see what was happening. I couldn't do nothing because I couldn't get out of there. So I was just pretty much just standing by the car, just like wishing like it would all stop.
Detectives were not buying the story. If McKinley had been forced into taking part in a murder at gunpoint, why not report it?
I really tried to say something. I couldn't. So then I fell asleep for a bit and I started having nightmares.
When the weapons found in the Honda Accord were tested for DNA and fingerprints, they returned hits on Dakota Van Patten, not for McKinley Louisma. The house where Dakota was staying was searched. In the basement where he slept, detectives found more of the climbing rope that they had discovered in McKinley's trunk. At the end of Dakota's bed were a pair of eyeglasses. These were confirmed to be Melody's. Dakota's brother also lived in the house, and investigators found a machete under his bed, a locked container with a pistol, holster, and ammunition in his bedroom, and a footlocker with knives. The 18-year-old was arrested and arraigned for the murder alongside McKinley Louisma. The lack of DNA on the items in the trunk may have cast doubt upon the extent of the ex-boyfriend's involvement, if it were not for the other circumstantial evidence linking him to the murder. Surveillance from the Southwest Cedar Rapids Walmart, where the machetes and gloves were purchased, revealed 3 men purchasing supplies. With McKinley and Dakota Van Patten was 18-year-old Logan Kimpton. 3 machetes were purchased, as well as multiple pairs of gloves. When questioned about what he knew, Logan told investigators that all 3 of them had planned to commit the murder. But when the time came, he chickened out, he said. His cell phone data placed him in the area of his girlfriend's apartment when the murder took place. Logan was charged with willful injury and conspiracy to commit a forcible felony. Both McKinley and Dakota pleaded not guilty to the murder charges and were held in county jail. McKinley, however, enforced his right to a speedy trial, which commenced in November 2024.
The evidence will show that the carefreeness and levity of the night turned into depravity. The evidence will show that it was at Morgan Creek Park where whatever depraved plan the defendants had came into action. The evidence will show they did not treat her as any human being would ever deserve to be treated, and that she endured unspeakable trauma. And you might want to understand why it happened. But the evidence shows you, whatever reason it happened, defies reason. The evidence will show it was likely done to stage what her body would look like after being attacked. And if that wasn't the reason, the evidence would only be explainable by some other depraved and senseless reason, the likes of which reasonable minds could hardly construe.
McKinley's defense argued that he was present when the murder took place, but that he took no part in it.
On February 18th of this year, McKinley Willisma was at Morgan Creek Park, and he was at Building Lake. He was there when Melody was eaten, and he was there when Melody died. However, this case is not nearly as straightforward as the state would lead you to believe.
With the revelation that Melody was either newly pregnant or had just been, prosecutors speculated that she had known this fact and shared it with McKinley. The unemployed 20-year-old, however, had just moved in with his long-term girlfriend, Nikia, at her grandmother Patty's house. Nikia was also pregnant. The state theorized that he solicited the help of Dakota and Logan to kill Melody, believing that he was responsible for both pregnancies and that he only wanted one of them. There was no clear indication that McKinley knew Melody's secret. Indeed, she had not even shared this news with her mother. It was possible, argued the defense, that Melody was unaware that she was pregnant. Nikia took the stand and spoke to McKinley's other potential motive. She and Melody had found out about each other, leading to her issuing an ultimatum.
When we got back together at my apartment, she called his phone. And basically she said that I answered it, and she said she wanted to talk to her man, and I was like, "Who's your man?" She said, "McKinley."
Any point in time tell the defendant that he couldn't talk to her?
I basically told him he had to choose between me or her.
And when you told him that he had to make that choice, what was his response?
He said he picked me.
Defense attorney Jill Eimerman questioned this proposed motive by suggesting that McKinley was not the father of Nikia's daughter and may have known that at the time of Melody's death. If true, this would suggest that Melody and her pregnancy was not in the way of the family and future happiness McKinley had wanted with Nikia.
So on February 17th, 2024, when you're living on the trailer on Hummingbird Lane with Patty, the defendant, and Patty's boyfriend, were you also pregnant at that time?
Yes.
And whose child were you pregnant with?
I didn't know who it was.
Did you believe it could have been the defendant's child?
Yes.
To your knowledge, did the defendant believe the baby was his?
Objection,
Yes.
speculation.
Overruled.
And your answer to that was yes?
Yes.
When did you determine who Aaliyah's dad was?
We did we sort of did like a DNA test.
And did you do that test after she was born?
We had DHS do it.
Pardon?
We had DHS do it.
Okay. And I'm just trying to figure out when you learned that information. Do you remember?
No, because we had to have DHS involved.
All right. Just to be clear then, McKinley didn't know for sure if he was the father of your baby for a time. Is that right?
Yes.
And in fact, McKinley is not Aaliyah's dad, correct?
We didn't, Matthew's not the father of Aaliyah.
Okay. And McKinley's not the father.
We haven't done a DNA test with McKinley.
Friends and acquaintances took the stand to testify to incriminating statements made by the three accused conspirators, McKinley, Dakota, and Logan Kimpton, relating to the murder, although their recollections were questionable. Taya Meyer was a friend of Dakota Van Patten's at the time. She told the jury that in the early morning of February 18th, Dakota had wanted to speak with her about something important.
So I closed my door. I said, "So what is this about? I want to go to bed. Like, what are you here for?" And he was just like, why do you need to tell you something? I said, well, get off your chest. Tell me, like, what's going on. And he was like, I killed someone. I said, who, why, what the fuck, what for? And he was like, that Melody girl. And I was like, for what? She didn't do anything to you. Who, why would you do that? Who with? What was the reason? He was like, with Ken.
That he was with Ken and that he killed someone. Did he tell you what he did, what Ken did,
No.
what they may have done together?
No.
Did he offer any more details about that?
No. He just said it had to be done.
He just said it had to be done?
Yes.
Critically, Taya told the jury that Dakota had implicated McKinley, or Ken as they knew him, directly in the murder. However, upon cross-examination, she began to doubt this key detail of her recollection.
Yes, I didn't remember at first, and then when I've been trying to remember everything, I did remember my statement to police or whatever.
And do you recall what you said on that day about who he was with?
I think I said he was alone. I'm not for sure.
And so you think on July 25th you said he wasn't with anyone else?
Yes. Yes.
20-year-old Brendan Monson testified that he was mudding with Taya, Dakota, and Logan Kimpton in the daytime on February 17th. While the group was in their truck, he told the jury that Logan told him that he, Dakota, and Ken had plans to kill someone.
We were mudding out in Solon.
What's mudding?
Mudding is where you go off-road a whole bunch of mud and you try to kick it up with your truck.
Okay. What did he say about the plans he had with those two?
He said that he had a plan to go murder someone and that it was going to be with the defendant, Ken, and Dakota Van Patten. He said it was supposed to happen that night. I didn't know if he was joking or not because he has been known to joke around about killing people in the past.
Similar to the way the defense attempted to discredit the testimony of Taya Meyer, they questioned the reliability of Brendan's memory, specifically the key element of his testimony, that Logan had planned the murder with McKinley.
Generally speaking, do you have problems with memory?
I do.
And as you walked into this courtroom, this courthouse today, did you even recall the specific detail that Logan had implicated McKinley Louisma and Dakota Van Patten with his statements?
I don't remember exactly what I said, but I remember roughly about what I said.
And did someone have to refresh your memory of that particular detail today?
Someone did have to refresh my memory on that detail, yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Trevor Wise met McKinley through his nephew, Logan Kimpton. Trevor told the jury that McKinley asked him to stay quiet about the time he was spending with Dakota Van Patten. Specifically, he asked him not to tell his mother because the two of them tend to get into trouble when they are together. When pressed during cross-examination, however, he too questioned whether he remembered McKinley stating those words to him.
Now, today, your testimony was that during that 8-minute car ride, Ken said, "Don't tell your mom," correct? Is that right?
Correct.
And that he went on to say, "Don't tell your mom because he and Dakota tend to get into trouble together." Is that right?
Correct.
As you sit here today and you were answering questions under oath, did you remember who it was that said that in the car?
I don't remember exactly, but I haven't really been feeling too well.
Well, today, when we asked you, you said it was McKinley that said that.
Yeah.
As you sit here today, do you remember him saying those words?
I don't know.
Though the witness testimony had its limitations, digital evidence painted a clear picture. McKinley's phone showed his internet search history, which included several items online at Walmart, including face coverings, ski masks, and rubber gloves. In his phone's map application, he searched for both Morgan Creek Park and Lily Lake. These searches were performed only a couple of hours before McKinley arranged to pick up Melody from her home on the night of the murder. Photos recovered on the device showed selfies of Dakota sitting on the bed in Taya's basement, posing, wearing Melody's glasses. A photo of Dakota was also taken while he sat in the passenger seat of McKinley's car. A BB gun is visibly poking out from his waistband. This, the state says, is the supposed weapon that was pulled out by surprise and used to compel him into taking part in the murder. Perhaps most disturbing was a photo of Melody recovered from his cell phone. It showed her with duct tape over her mouth and a bloody nose. She was crying.
He had a lot going on in his life at that time. He had a long-term relationship. He was getting back together. He had a new girlfriend who he was starting to part with a secret. Then he had an ultimatum. On February 17, 2024, the evidence in this case has shown that the defendant had a past with Melody Hoffman and that she wanted to have a future with him, but he didn't. Ladies and gentlemen, the evidence in this case showed that the defendant, with Dakota Van Patten by his side, strangled Melody, stripped Melody, mutilated her body, and left her for dead on the shores of a chilly rural pond in Iowa County on a cold February night.
On the final day of trial, closing statements were completed by 1 p.m. By 2:30, the jury had returned with their verdict.
I will now read the verdict of the jury. In the matter captioned State of Iowa versus McKinley Louisma, FECR 153477. Count 1, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty of murder in the first degree. Count 2, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty of kidnapping in the first degree. Count 3, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty of conspiracy to commit a forcible felony. Signed by the foreperson.
Megan Hoffman spoke at the sentencing hearing. She reminded McKinley of the rules that she had set out for him when he began to date her daughter. He broke every one and had not taken any responsibility.
She always cared for you. However, you did not respect or care for her, or you wouldn't have done this or allowed this to happen. Therefore, you have broken every single one of my rules. You fucked with the wrong mama. You messed with the wrong family. I'm sorry you never felt like you fit in to our family. I now know you could never fit into a caring, loving, supportive family. I'm sorry you never experienced a family with such strong characteristics. In fact, I don't see any of your relatives here supporting you today. Maybe the issue is you, and not the rest of us.
McKinley received a mandatory life sentence without the possibility of parole.
Thank this whole team enough. They have been wonderful. I can't wait to continue to get justice for Melody with this team. She will be remembered for the person she is.
Long road to justice, but we're here for the ride.
Yeah. A little sense of relief, but we're not done yet.
Dakota Van Patten's murder trial is currently scheduled to begin in March 2025, while Logan Kimpton was bent to face trial in December 2024 and has had his date pushed to April. And that was the tragic case of Melody Hoffman. Thank you for joining me, and a special thanks to Pascaline Lamonier and Charles Pride for joining our Members Lounge. I'm Kevin, this is Just Thought Lounge, and I'll see you in the next one.
Feels like the whole world is online for true crime. Watch him on a run, but it's not a race. Really hard to disappear, poof without a trace. Sherlock Holmes with it, I put you in your place. Got my smoking pipe, only right, I crack another case.